Kyrsten Sinema wrote an op-ed to explain her leaving the Democratic Party. For what it's worth, and it's not worth much, she says, when politicians are more focused on denying the opposition party a victory than they are on improving Americans' lives, the people who lose are everyday Americans. That's why I've joined the growing numbers of Arizonans who reject party politics by declaring my independence from the broken partisan system in Washington. That's interesting, you're focused on the politicians who are more focused on denying the opposition party victory. You seem pretty dedicated to denying your own party many victories. You're smug about it. It's not just enough for you to stop the minimum wage from being increased. You had to do your theatrics, your little curtsy thumbs down. And that was, I think, the worst move, the move that she made that probably would have killed her in a primary. You can do bad votes, and as Cenk has said many times, the media is going to cover you and all that. But while she's not an independent or a maverick when it comes to politics, she's a corporatist like many are. She is kind of an independent in that she's a uniquely terrible person. She likes doing the thumbs down. She likes doing the little photos on Instagram of her wearing jewelry, insulting her constituents. She's not unique in policy, but she's unique in how much condescension she heaps on the people who put her in a position of power. But let's talk about what she actually wants. So previously, she has defied the Democratic Party on a number of different topics, whether it's a climate bill or Build Back Better, raising the minimum wage, getting rid of the filibuster to protect either women's rights, reproductive rights, voting rights. In the fall of 2021, she basically single-handedly scuttled a deal that would have partially reduced the Republicans' Trump-era tax cuts for corporations and the wealthiest 1% of individual earners that helped to ultimately crash the party's ambitious Build Back Better agenda of new social infrastructure spending. Again, she didn't do that in the interest of bipartisanship or for regular Arizonans. She did it so that the rich people's taxes wouldn't go up. There's no other way to see that. Additionally, this summer she weakened a 15% minimum tax rate on corporations that often pay nothing in federal taxes, and also worked to protect the special status afforded to Americans that make their money through high-end Wall Street investments. Again, that's not for regular Arizonans. Much of it by design isn't. It's for rich people living on a different coast. Additionally, on August 4th, she announced that she had struck a deal with Chuck Schumer to remove language from the Inflation Reduction Act that would have narrowed a tax loophole that wealthy investment managers use to lower their taxes in exchange for a vote on the bill. Again, there is no other conceivable way to see that move except that she doesn't care about protecting her constituents. She cares about protecting, whether they live in Arizona or not, wealthy people who make their money on Wall Street, wealthy developers, wealthy investors. That's what she's there to do, and to stop changes in the law that would raise taxes on those sorts of people. She's done it time and time again. I didn't hear that sort of thing from Jake Tapper when he was talking to her about what her thought process was on leaving the party.
Yeah, so guys, she's trying to brand it as, I'm outside of the two-party system, this corrupt system in Washington, and I'm breaking the mold because I'm an independent, right? It makes it sound like she's a populist. But as John just showed you, proved to you, without a shadow of a doubt, and we got a dozen more votes along the same lines, she actually votes for a completely pro-corporate agenda. She's the least populist senator in the whole Senate, and I would include Joe Manchin in there, okay? Because Joe Manchin sometimes works for himself. Sinema is just completely corporate owned. She's not the senator from Arizona, she's a senator from Wall Street. The hedge funds have no better friend in the Senate, including the Republicans, than Kyrsten Sinema. So when the media helps her frame herself as a brave independent, bucking the Washington system, and makes her appear to be populist, when her votes prove indisputably that she is the exact opposite, that is how the mainstream media lies to you implicitly and gets you to believe the worst politicians, the most corrupt politicians, are the best politicians, the most independent, the most moderate, all of these positive words that they surrounded Kyrsten Sinema with like a bouquet of roses, okay? The whole point is to trick you. There's one thing that I promised you that was really important, and I have to tell you that. So it's unclear if she's gonna caucus with the Democrats. I'm not sure that matters much. They're letting her keep her committee assignments. If she had fully left the Democratic Party and was not going to caucus with them at all in the Senate, letting her keep the committee assignments would be beyond the pale, and I would go out of my mind at the weakness of Schumer and Biden, but that is not the case. It appears that she's staying within the realm of the party enough in the Senate so that it is not going to slow down judicial confirmations. That is the most important part. If she had done that, I would have a much angrier tone, believe it or not, than I do right now. Francesca.
No, that's really important. I mean, I think that this is, I think my favorite part of the interview, two points. One is, do you realize neither of them are talking about substance? No one's talking about issues. What do you stand for?
Yeah.
What do you believe in? What do you want to get done in Washington? Do you want to give Arizonans a raise? No, clearly. Do you want to codify Roe v. Wade? Haven't heard you say a peep, honestly. There was a tweet maybe, but no inkling that you're going to. We know you don't believe in reforming the filibuster, and Jake, that's a DC thing. Let us worry about that. Remember that little choice moment? That was fun, where she was basically, the thing that we've been basically hinging on, that Americans have understood is a huge barrier to progress in Washington, which is the filibuster, right? That they now have the votes to overturn, like that we've been waiting on bated breath, and no, we cannot count on her. So again, this is just about like how the media and politicians, it's just a horse race, and it's just about power, and it's just about who can get more money. None of it is about how to improve people's lives. Where's that conversation?
Yeah, 100%. And the thing about the narrative that she wants to spread, that Jake Tapper is helping her to spread, isn't just that it's not accurate. It's that it's almost perfectly designed, as if by an AI chatbot working with the most advanced neural networking, to be the exact opposite of what is actually true. So she says, I wanna be independent and step outside of this toxic system. And that's when she switches to Tulsi Gabbard speak, where who's to say which is better? They're both really toxic. And the thing is that there is actually quite a bit that is similar between the Democratic and the Republican parties. But what is similar about them is exactly what she is, down to her very essence. A person who's going to be a roadblock to any federal imposition on the wealthier corporations. That's the thing that Republicans and Democrats can almost always come together on. That they're going to craft legislation that is intended to benefit those people. Anything that is intended to hinder them, higher taxes, regulations, or whatever, is gonna be damn near impossible to do, no matter how much regular people actually support it, no matter how clear they are in election after election. She is that. With purple hair, that's all she is that impulse that we see in both the Democratic and Republican establishments. And so to pitch her as being an alternative to that system when she is like a construct of the system, she's a golem of corporate corruption in the duopoly. Like any journalist who knows anything about the way things work in DC should immediately slam her on that. But Jake Tapper works for the same people as she does.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.